Let's do it.
Oh, hold on. I just dropped
Oh.
the phone.
H.
Slay 8.
Slay 8.
Coraline.
Slay 8. Coraline.
October 8th,
October
2021.
Family-friendly Friday. We'll
true.
say family-friendly Fright Day.
I like what you did there.
Yeah, thank you. Today we're doing Coraline. This is from the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, same guy, Henry Selick, not Tim Burton. Common mistake. We covered this back in December. But this is one of my favorites as well. I mean, I've always really dug Coraline. Even John told me this is one of his favorites as well. I was like, no shit. I actually remember him telling me that before. So when I was younger, my youngest sister, when she was really young, like this, I think for her was kind of like what Nightmare Before Christmas was for me. You know, it was like that, like we talked about, last week with the gateway horror. Like I definitely feel like movies like this, like is definitely that. Like Nightmare Before Christmas was my gateway horror as a kid, and this was for my youngest sister.
Dang, man. I guess that's weird. Like, my gateway horror was like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. I didn't get into like horror till like 2007 when I just dove head first with Rob Zombie's Halloween. But we'll get into that in a few weeks. But yeah, like she always wanted to watch it with me. It was. I remember when this movie came out too, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it came out the same exact weekend as My Bloody Valentine, the remake, and it was like right when like the digital 3D was just taken off. So both of these movies came out in like real 3D when that was like a new thing. So we went and saw My Bloody Valentine because we were a bunch of freshmen in high school. So we're like, yeah, let's go see this rated R, slasher flick, 3D. It's a new thing. But I saw the trailer for Coraline in 3D, and I was like, yo, that looks sick as fuck. As somebody who grew up watching Nightmare Before Christmas, like one of my favorite forms of animation is stop motion animation. Like it's definitely like I just adore it so much, and I would love to do something in stop motion one of these days.
Well, this movie wasn't supposed to originally be stop motion. That's
Oh,
one
really?
of the facts about this movie. It was actually supposed to be live action.
Oh, interesting. I was watching it this time around, thinking how I would be interested in seeing a live action version of Coraline.
Yeah, the director is the one that pushed that it needs to be stop animation. But I think originally when were wanting to make it, they said they wanted to do live action.
This is another one that I've also read the book, to Coraline, written by Neil Gaiman.
Right.
And, that shit's dark. Coraline. I mean, the movie's pretty dark, but the book is pretty dark too. Like, and there's some differences there. It's been a minute since I've read it, so I can't really like pick out the differences. But like, I distinctly remember the book being like hella dark.
Well, and that's okay. And that's the argument here. I read the full thing, and apparently, the director at the time was under contract with Disney doing James and the Giant Peach and Nightmare Before Christmas. So when Coraline was going to come out, they said, "Well, no, we're going to have to do it live action because you can't do animated." And he was like, "This is going to be really dark if we have to do this live action."
Right,
And
yeah.
he said that the cat would become a gimmick. A talking cat live action would just be dumb. It'd be like silly. And luckily, they got it all worked out. But it would have starred. I guess it would have just starred the same girl as Coraline.
Dakota Fanning, my forever celebrity crush. I've always loved Dakota Fanning since I was a little lad.
This movie, like I said, it wasn't bad for me. It was just I was a bit older, so when this one came out, no, it wasn't one that I was dying and rushing to a theater to at all see because was this 2009? Yeah, so I was in the Navy. I was probably in boot camp or something like that at the time, or working on raising my son and all that good shit. And probably at that time probably looking for a job. Yeah.
Just to show you the difference in age here, I was in junior high.
So like at the time Coraline dropped, not something I was real interested in hopping in and watching.
Yeah.
So I feel like I see the resemblance between this and Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I saw that one in theaters as a kid. So of course that one was always my shit.
Yeah.
I can see the resemblances and why people would like this, but this was just another one. I chalk it up to like the Rosemary's Baby, that just at the time I was watching all these movies.
Yeah.
I was thinking about all this other stuff, so I was trying to multitask. So it was like I was watching it, but I really wasn't.
Yeah. Between the two of them, between Rosemary's Baby and this one, like this one, I genuinely feel like you would have enjoyed if the timing was different. Like this, because this one is just it's so dark and it's so weird, and like there are moments in this where I'm like, how can you say this is for kids? Like it's so bizarre, dude. It's so bizarre and dark and twisted. And there's just moments in it that like I know are clearly flying over kids' heads. And some of it's just so fucking disturbing. Like to think of it, like watching this as a kid, like there would probably definitely be some scary shit in here if I watched it. Because even I was like, I was like, 8th grade freshman, whatever. Like when this movie came out, so I was still a little older, so I didn't find it scary. But I definitely that just real surreal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, as a kid, I mean, especially the part where the parents are like, all right, and they hand her buttons, like,
yeah,
take them eyeballs out. It's like, as a kid, I would have been like, fuck no.
Even like the themes of like, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure that's what made the book so much darker, was like the themes of this movie, like how she's just like neglected and not listened to. And it's one of those things that's like, it's like, from the point of view of a child, like, you're a child, like nobody listens to you, and like nobody listens to Coraline. Like they call her the wrong name all the time, like, throughout the whole movie. And like the way her parents are, like, I just like, I posted on Snapchat last night while I was watching it. I'm like, Coraline's mom is a straight up bitch. I'll go on record and say it. Like, I didn't give a shit if she got saved. I was like, like nothing. Even her buying those fucking gloves for her at the end, I was like, fuck you, mom. Like, you're nothing. Like, you're such a piece of shit. she's awful to Coraline like the whole time. At least the dad was like a little redeemable. That mom was just such an asshole like the entire movie. So like what? You buy me a pair of gloves and we're cool? Get the fuck out of my room. I'm just like, I wasn't having it. But the company that made this, Leica, has become one of my favorite animation companies. Not all of their movies have really like hit for me, and I think that's just because I've gotten older. But I know I believe next Friday we're doing their next movie, Paranorman, which honestly, we'll find out next Friday if this is the case. But I feel like Paranorman I like better than Coraline. But I feel like you can tell Coraline is this company's like first movie.
Yeah.
I think they did like other stuff. Like that company did work on other things before they like fully became like what they became with this movie. But there's like elements to this movie that like definitely feels like a first attempt at something that they have.
I'm reading some of these facts on this movie, and there's a lot of craziness that one person's job was to knit tiny sweaters for all the puppets.
I'm telling you, if you just want to see some fascinating shit, watch the behind the scenes on like any Leica movie. Like the stop motion process for these guys is like insane. Like when you watch these movies, it's crazy how much of this is just stop motion animation. Like it is like this company has really perfected it, especially
the time they make 4 years to make this movie. That should just tell you.
Yeah, by the time, and I noticed their talent got better too. Like they started hiring more and more like big names like as their movies went on. And like Kubo and the Two Strings, I mean, I think that's one I need to rewatch. At the time, I was kind of underwhelmed by it, but there's no doubt that like the special effects and the stop motion had just been elevated. Like they perfected it so much.
Yeah.
it's just it's incredible. It's super impressive. Um, but yeah, it's a dark one for sure.
Yeah, I'm reading some of these facts on it. It says that the shopping scene shouldn't have happened.
Shouldn't have been. What do you mean?
Yeah. They said the producers originally wanted to get rid of the scene because they didn't like how it looked or how it took them outside of the world that was created at the Pink Place.
Actually,
But
when I watched it this time around, I totally forgot they even went to the store. So when I watched it, I was like, I don't know. I had like mixed feelings about it, like because I get what they're saying because it did kind of like take me out of that world, but I was also happy to step out of that world a little bit.
yeah,
That was just me personally.
yeah, it's like it says Selleck believed the scene added a lot when it came to Coraline's relationship with her mom,
Yeah,
and it's like while you already knew it, this scene gave more to it. It
right.
was important for Selleck to keep it because it's one of the final moments that Coraline and her mom have before Coraline's parents go missing.
Like I said, I doubled down. Fuck her mom. This scene only makes me want to double down on that even more. I'm not put them back. I'm not buying you the gloves. And then later she buys her the gloves. And for what? It's like, shut the fuck off.
It says director Henry Selick doesn't believe that Mr. Bobinski has a real mice circus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
It says it's never clear whether Mr. Bobinski actually has a real mice circus in the real world or no.
Mhm.
So it says he doesn't know.
That was like when I first saw this, even though I was old enough to not really find this scary, like some of the darker moments that I definitely could see, like scaring the shit out of kids. Because even at the older, younger age I was at, the moments where she goes to Babinski's and the ladies downstairs, Spink and Forcible, I believe their names. When she goes there, like when everything starts to like unravel and like things are starting to like when she's looking for the eyes and stuff like that's some spooky shit, like especially like if you're a little kid, like oh man, I could see that just scaring you shitless.
They said the sets, the real world was always designed to be flat, while the other one was designed to have more depth.
Watch this shit in 3D and I just didn't.
And here's an interesting fact that I like. They said that the band They Might Be Giants created a soundtrack for this movie that was never used.
Oh, that is a cool fact. I did not know that. I like that. I've always liked that name too, Coraline. I just that's a fun fact about me.
Yeah, it said that with the movie took a darker turn for the better, and the soundtrack that They Might Be Giants made for it just didn't fit.
I could totally see that. You know,
It
uh,
says the only song that was kept in the film from They Might Be Giants was the song that Coraline's other father sings to entertain her.
I knew it. I knew this.
It says a detail you might have missed, however, is that he is
Like any.
also. Oh, you're breaking up bad. You have to say that
Am I
again,
back?
bud. Yeah.
Am I back? Every time I watch this movie, I find myself singing that song for a while afterwards. It's catchy.
It says a detail you might have missed, however, is that he's also singing it to Werner about the alternative universe.
I think I caught on to that a little bit this time around, and that was something I enjoyed this time around too. Was like noticing that the other father is like also like constantly trying to warn her and stuff. Like, and that shit was creepy too. Again, like thinking from a kid's perspective, like this is a terrifying movie. Like truly, it's a terrifying movie for kids. Like, so if you got a little one who's like ready to embark on some spooky shit, I mean, I'd recommend Coraline for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's decent. It's a decent watch.
It's fun, it's trippy. It's got Keith David as the cat. He was just in The Thing a few days ago. So we'll connect her there. We'll connect her tissue for you.
The cat was my favorite character, so
He's dope. He's my favorite character as well. Yeah. Yeah. I dig it. It's a good one. It's a good one. What's your score? What's your score looking like?
I give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's pretty decent. Like I said, it's a pretty decent watch, especially if you got kids. You want to watch something a little spooky with some kids. It's a good one.
I'll say, out of personal enjoyment, I'll say 8 out of 10. I could see where this isn't for everybody as well, just because it is such a trippy little movie. Even though it's like for kids and stuff, like there's definitely some things where I could see somebody watching this and just being like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening in this movie?" Like I could totally see where somebody might feel that way watching this, because there is like a certain element to it of like, what is this thing? Like, what is the other mother? Like, is it just an alternate dimension? Like, okay, so she's a spider lady. Like, I don't. Is she a witch? Like, I totally see where that confusion could be. But if you're willing to just like go along for this weird little ride, it's cool to see like that first step for this studio that ended up going on to make some even cooler shit down the line. I'm excited to rewatch Paranorman personally.
I never seen it.
It's a good. I personally think it's a step up from Coraline. They just got like a much bigger and better voice cast. Like I feel like the sound design is a little better, whereas this one felt like I don't know, something about the sound design in this movie like just always threw me off, because it seems like I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It seems like too quiet in parts. I guess like there should have been noises where there weren't noises, sort of thing. So like when the voices did come in, like you're talking to somebody who clearly can't sound mix if you've been watching Summer Camp of Horrors. So the fuck do I know? But yeah,
It happens.
So, Coraline, Slay 8. Speaking of Summer Camp of Horrors, episode 5 drops tonight, 7 o'clock,
True.
as per usual. The kids keep drowning. This one, it's a good one. It's a good one. We're excited for everybody to see this one. Real emotional stuff.
It is probably the most emotional one to date.
Absolutely. And you know the rest. You know the rest. You see that
We'll be live afterwards.
This shit right there.
Like, subscribe, comment, worship, all that great shit. And a smooches and a deuces to yous.
One more thing I will throw out, and I know I totally talked about this when we were talking to Nightmare Before Christmas, but I'm still stoked for this next Henry Selick movie that's coming out, and I saw that it's supposed to come out next year. I hope that it fucking does. I think it's called Wendell and Wild. All I know is that Henry Selick's directing. It's a stop motion movie, and it stars Key and Peele, so as two demon brothers who I think the synopsis said they play two demon brothers who go up against a nun and goth teenagers. And I'm like, yo, let's do it. I'm here for it.
Sounds pretty fun.
Let's get weird, Selick. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Slay 8. I'm not going to hit that button. Peace.